There's a lot about academia, a lot about the sort of research game that is fundamentally unfair. And education in general, there is a lot of inequality that's baked into it, and it's sort of based on the assumption that you have to select the top people to get into something. And selection is kind of a tricky thing, particularly when you're looking at skills or skill sets that are ambiguous or not necessarily clear to identify those things. There's the assumption that objectivable criteria or outcomes actually lead to measurement of some underlying skill. However, we do know that there is a lot of bias within that correlation between the objective outcomes that you see and what is going on in the underlying skill. Simple things like gender matters, for example. Whether certain gender is going to prefer mathematics or not, or prefer going into creative arts or not. That there's definite things like that matter, or even growing up in a home that advocates for university, for example, or advocates for higher education versus ones that don't. And there's real big differences between that in terms of what you're going to do. And so it's not necessarily a good indicator of competence. I don't think objective criteria outcomes are a good indicator of competence and skill, and that's not necessarily what we need to sort of focus on. So, what can we do to change, the inequalities, sort of, that just in general inequality that exists, within academia and the whole research game and things like that, so that you are actually leveling the playing field? Well, it tends to be rather difficult because you're going against institutions that have been around for a long time, and so the vast majority of the people that belong to that institution, whether you're at the top of the institution, you're sort of going to say that, well, it was tough for me, so it should be tough for everybody else, lots of people will sort of say that's just the way it is and sort of accept the way it is. And so there's lots of that goes on. And so if you're trying to change the institution, it's a slow and painful political process. Except for what I'm trying to do is try to go through a different route. And it's still a painful process. The whole reciprocity project, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that. So if you don't know me, I'm Professor Dave Masek. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out. So the whole reciprocity project actually started out as me, I stepped into my chair's office and I wanted to get some editing done, and it turned out that, I'm at a state institution, so we have limited resources, and so that wasn't available. And I thought, well, heck, there's lots of places in academia that will pay for editing. And so it's a bit of a bias that goes on. And I thought, well, heck, I'm a entrepreneurship person, teach entrepreneurship and innovation, and I'm I also am an engineer, so I thought, hey, why not? How come I just don't build this thing and try to level the playing field with the technology? So I built this thing and put out this platform. That's what reciprocity.com is. The E is written with a 3. It's an editing platform. And, we built in a bunch of bells and whistles into this thing. And it's kind of got like this model where you can get feedback from other people. And still, we're continuously, improving it, making it better, adding all sorts of things, working on it. I've got developers working on it all week. And they've been working on it for many years now, actually, 3 or 4 years, building this thing out. So it's really improved. There's a lot that goes on, and I've got high hopes in terms of things that we're going to do and build out on this thing. And so what I realized, though, is it's not just about putting out technology. That's one thing, or innovations. That's one thing that sort of level the playing field. But what I realized, it's actually a deeper problem. And as I started interacting, a friend of mine, I'd put this thing out and I got no traction on the internet. It was just like dead. Because you need to actually, it's like an island that nobody knows about. So you actually have to start, talking about it and all that kind of stuff. And what I realized, as I started talking about this thing, is I realized that there's more to the story, that is far deeper. And that it's not just about institutions. It's not just about, changing institutions. It's not just about providing technology and resources to level the playing field, to help us out and to make it easier for people like me, right? Like, I'm thinking about myself. I'm solving my own problem, basically. Expensive route, but definitely trying to solve this problem. So it's not all just about those kind of things, but it's also about people having faith in themselves, and people believing that they can do more than what they can accomplish, or something that's really missing within the institutions that people get. There's tacit knowledge, there's tacit underlying things that many people get, that at the right institution, with the right mentors, with the right parents, all those kind of things, the right friends and family, all those kind of things that some people do get that other people don't get access to, right? Just people telling you that you can do it, giving you encouragement, realizing that you're not the only one that struggles, or you're not the only one that thinks that you're not perfect. All of those things are really important. All of that stuff is a super important part of the puzzle. As I started, and I kind of stumbled into this, where it was I just started talking a bit about my own struggles, and I realized that, holy crap, a lot of people resonate with this, and a lot of people really do struggle in research careers with dealing with the stress and anxiety of a competitive marketplace, where you're providing a good that is very intangible, very tacit, and there's not a real definitive answer, and yet we're in a competitive market where people measure you on outcomes rather than on the effort and the work that you put in, which is totally stupid. I don't understand why that's evolved in that way. I understand why it's evolved in that way, but it's definitely a penalty towards being in a career or doing good things, because you never get rewarded for the work that you get put in, but you get rewarded for outcomes. And so it creates a lot of weird incentives. And the outcomes happen lot longer and through a very murky process, getting a paper published. It's a really murky process to get there compared to, putting in the work. It's not just about putting in the work. That's really not it at all. There's so many more combinations. You could put in the work. That's only a quarter of the puzzle. It's very almost an instinct. It's a requirement. It's a necessary but not sufficient condition, is basically what I'm trying to say. So you need to put in the work, and that's hard to do for a lot of people. But then there's also all of these sort of implicit barriers that are built into it. And we need to address those things. And so that's why, just talking to you and sort of encouraging you to do good things, not to lose hope, to give you some, just insider information, I guess, and what it feels like to do all of these kind of things. I think it's super important. Because, I deal with this stuff all the time. There's lots of frustrations. I feel like I'm never good enough with it. And I feel like there's all these implicit barriers for myself. And I've learned how to deal with it and to struggle with it. And it doesn't get any easier. But, you need to be open and you need to talk about these things to actually deal with it. So that's where I just want to give you encouragement if you're listening to this. There's a lot that goes on in the whole research career and academia and all that kind of stuff. That is, I don't think anybody's ever proud of it. Honestly, I think most people would say, if you're really taking a very honest look into it, that it ain't great, and yet it's part of the process. And I just want to say, give you encouragement that the only thing that you can change, the only thing that you could do that's in your control is to put in the work and smile and just be happy with the things that you're doing. And that's really it. That's at the end of the day, that's all you can expect. Some of you are probably going to be really good at the whole political process and all that kind of stuff, and that's amazing. And if you could do that, by all means, leverage it. But if you're anything like me, the only thing you could do is just keep putting in that work day in and day out. Yeah, just do the thing that you need to do. Be happy you're doing it. Go to bed smiling. If you've got a significant other, or kids, or family, or whatever, just give them a hug and go to bed, and that's all you can do. That's really it. So, and just do your thing, do some work, be happy you're doing it, and know that you could do it. Just put in that work every single day. That's it. All right, that's all I wanted to end with. Give you a positive message. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.